mastering engineer. I like it.
Yeah, it was kind of like where my forte is, where I can bring my best and give that to the client as the sum of the parts, which is, the client as the musician, the client as the mixing engineer, the client as the producer, the client as the label, the management, the whole thing, like what I can bring to the table to make the audience engage with the record much better.
Yeah, love it. Was there a moment where you realized, hey, this is kind of working out. This is going to be my path for the long haul?
I think we create the moment. I don't think it was a moment where I was like, this is my path. More of like, this is what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, okay, maybe it's my calling, but I got to keep that calling happening. I got to make it happen. It's like, I don't sit and think, well, it's just going to come into me. It's just going to come in. No, I'm got to be proactive. I got to keep this ball rolling. Got to keep the engine running, and there's maintenance to do. You put fuel in, you exchange oil.
Did you have any mentors when it came to actual mastering? The art of mastering, the craft of mastering. Did anybody help you out in that specific area?
No, that's why it was a hard, long road. I didn't have any mentors in the field. I couldn't get a job here. Nobody wanted to hire me, so I hired myself.
Likewise.
And I didn't have any mastering mentors because nobody wanted to take me under their wing, and nobody really offered the advice. I mean, in time you speak with colleagues, and maybe you exchange some info and you learn something from it, which is important. But that's later on when you become a colleague of someone. You know what I mean? Where you're exchanging notes, when you're on a level of, so what do you think of this? What do you think of that? You know what I mean? But prior to that, any mentorship? No, I had to learn a lot on my own. I had to make enough mistakes to pick up from them. I probably still do mistakes,
we're only human, right?
We're all human, yeah. And so, I would say that probably my mentors are my clients, because if they like it, great. I feel good. If they don't like it, okay, I got to make it for them to like it. So I'm making them like it by taking their feedback and working it. And that's mentoring me too, right? In a way. I think that, in time I worked more and more with people who I grew up listening to their works, and worked with bands that were influential either to my musical path or to others, but I can relate to it, and I learned from that. And
yeah, that's so cool. That's probably a dream come true to be able to work with the heroes that you grew up with, listening to. I was going to ask you because it seems like you've done like a lot of heavier stuff. Like that seems to be a lot of the clients you've had. Like heavier rock and all that stuff. I'm assuming that's kind of what you grew up on.
I grew up on a lot of music, actually. The reason you'll see in my catalog a big chunk of like portion of heavy stuff, it's because these names are more iconic in their field. I've done other things that are, like I said, like you said, Eric Gales and Walter Trout, they're big in blues. And I've done things, I mastered songs for artists like Daniel Potter. I've mastered songs for video games, OSTs like Siberia 4 and Outriders, and even the main theme of Fallout 76. I did the mastering for the OST that came out for that theme itself, and Elder Scroll Blades, also one of the main themes. And there's a lot of records I've done that, that are totally not rock or heavy.
Cool.
I've remastered a bunch of stuff I can name them. Those are known artists, but it's only like limited edition stuff but I've done a lot of even classical music and jazz. I did a record for Adam Ben Ezra. He's a very unique upright bass player.
Amazing.
Really, I've done a lot. He's Israeli, actually, Adam Ben Ezra. It just comes from so many different styles. A lot of it could be electronic. A lot of it could be,
So you were listening to all kinds of stuff like as a kid growing up. Like what was your record collection as a kid?
Well, because I always liked a lot of stuff, I'll be listening from Depeche Mode to Zeppelin to Iron Maiden, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax to the Sisters of Mercy and the Mission UK, and then I would listen to Fields of the Nephilim, and then I would listen to Jimi Hendrix, and then I listened to The Who, and then to Deep Purple, and then some Pink Floyd, and then I would listen to some 80s pop, and then I listened to what was on the radio, or I would listen to Toto, or what I mean? It's like, or Sex Pistols, or Dream Theater, or classical music, or the Beatles. Like I grew up like a lot of people. We had Sergeant Pepper, we had Let It Be, we had, you know what I mean?
The classics.
Yeah, so it's like I just liked a lot of music.
I think that's like the secret to success as an audio engineer or producer or any of those things. It's like if you have a good catalog of music in your head and you know what they sound like, that's just and then it's just about you kind of using your taste to kind of making things sound the way they need to sound, and you kind of know it based on that catalog in your head.
There's so much music out there, you're never gonna capture it all. Okay,
Right.
but and I learned that sometimes you can focus on one thing and be really good at it, and then do something else and bring that knowledge from something else to a new thing, and it will be really cool. Like, I think if let's say you focus on a genre and become really good at it, and then you're going to a new genre, maybe there will be kind of a learning curve a bit, but then you can bring something new to the table, which is not bad. Maybe a certain edge that you can bring.
Yeah.
I master a lot of hip hop. Not a lot of it is known. I've done some stuff like Lupe Fiasco and a few others that are a bit more known, but my name is more affiliated with the rock and the heavy and all that because those names are iconic. Rob Halford is one of the most known singers of heavy metal. And he's an iconic singer by himself, not just heavy metal. He's known, like you Google Rob Halford, you're going to see a lot, same with Yngwie Malmsteen. I mastered an album for Yngwie.
I saw Yngwie when I was in high school, and I was in the Bowery Ballroom somewhere in New York. I don't remember.
Well, Yngwie is like one of the top guitar players in the world, like one of the most influential. Okay,
It was a G3 concert.
Okay, you saw G3. Okay, so you saw Yngwie, Vai, and Satriani.
Yes.
Right? Okay, those are like three top of the shredding and virtual.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like totally. But that's what I'm saying is that when you get affiliated in certain, like you get affiliated with certain genres because you work with iconic people there. I work with Sepultura from Brazil. Sepultura is the biggest metal band in all South America. Biggest metal band, okay? And I worked with Angra. They're probably the second biggest metal band in South America, okay? And I do a lot of stuff from South America, and a lot of it is not metal, but some people will remember me for that, okay? Or Yes, we talked about Yes. Yes is one of the most influential prog bands ever.
Total,
okay?
Amazing.
And I've done 6 records with them, 1
That's
studio
insane.
and 5 live albums. So, of course, I'm affiliated with the prog rock, and people know me from that.
Yeah. It sounds like you don't want to be pigeonholed just with, it sounds like you love doing it, but you also love doing all kinds of genres. And
I understand why I might be pigeonholed, and I probably am in certain places, but some people know me for, like working with Eric Gales. I've done like 3 records with him. So some people know me from that, or like from the Yes, or from other stuff. So look, it's okay to be affiliated with stuff. It's good because it also brings you work, okay? If it means I only know how to do those genres, no, I know other genres. But some people would go to the people they like their work on other records, and they'll be like, I prefer working with that guy who I know did this and this and this. Okay, but they'll probably go. And sometimes they can go to me because they know me personally and they want to, or they heard of my work, or they want to try. So I understand the pigeonhole thing, and I understand why people don't want to be pigeonholed. And I think there's pros and cons to be pigeonholed, because The pros
Yeah.
is you're going to get a lot of work in that style. The cons is you're probably going to be mostly in that style.
Yeah.
So you just take what you can get, and if you can have the opportunity to work with stuff outside that genre, do it. And if it brings you more work, great. And slowly you'll be doing more and more stuff. If you look at the legends, the biggest names in mastering, they covered a lot of stuff. A lot,
Oh yeah.
it wasn't just one thing, they covered a lot. And it was the nature of the business too, because when they were working back then, whatever came in, came in. They worked with it. Later on, people were more going a direction to a certain person because he had a style or a sound that they felt that fits what they're doing. And then in time, you saw more people on certain genres as well.
Totally. So let's talk a little bit about your actual process of mastering. Like, what do you listen for? Like, what's the first thing you do when a song comes in?
I'm trying to understand what it is in terms of like the style of music, the aesthetics in the style. Like, for example, every style has like a sub style or inner style. And then what type of aesthetics? Did it go for a hi-fi, a lo-fi, a compressed, a dirty, a clean sound? Whatever they're heading at for, they have a direction they wanted to present. Sometimes the presentation of the direction is really good. Sometimes the presentation is lacking. Then you need to figure out how you can make the presentation better. Sometimes it's a mix issue that you can recommend having them fix. Sometimes they can't fix it and you have to work with it as is. The idea is to make it sound like they were intending it to be like the final result. And if you can get that clue in your head from where it is, like there's clues to where to take it. If you can grasp that, then you can move it. Sometimes you can do stuff that is very technical and right, but it ruins the vibe. And then you miss the mark because then
Yeah.
you cleaned up something that was better kept.
Could you give like an example of like something like a presentation issue that you would get in the mix that you would feel needs changing inside of mastering?
Let's say you get a mix that's balanced well and it sounds a lot like certain artists that that it is in that direction, but it doesn't have the coloration and the vibe. It has a good balance, it has the good song structure, it has that, but you can feel that it's mixed well in terms of balances, but the energy is not going out there because it doesn't have the same coloration and energy and feel. And so that's when you're taking it to the next level, finding the right color, making it sound like it was recorded in a studio that was equipped with that type of gear that they were looking for. Of course, it's imaginary stuff, and you have to kind of use that imagination to create a reality of it that's synthesized in a way.
Yeah. So it's all about, in terms of like your actual like mastering chain, are things linear? Or do you have like the same kind of mastering chain, but sometimes they're bypassed, or are you patching between different things to kind of get those results?
I have a lot of gear, and I like having the ability to experiment and find what works. And I'm not looking always for the cleanest path. If I need a clean path, I have a clean path. Okay. If I need the high fidelity, I have that. But a lot of times I will need something else. And if I do need the high fidelity and I just need to do certain things to make it better, but I don't need to color it as much, then I'll go for that. But there's a lot of cases where the coloration is what makes it connect to the listener. Sometimes you can get a bad mix, but it has the vibe and it just needs a bit clearing up. Sometimes you get an intermediate mix, which has the balance, has a bit of the color, and you can extend that. Even if a mix doesn't sound amazing, if you can translate the energy right, then the listener will connect to it. Yeah, so going back to what we talked, there's a lot of records where the mixes are not amazing, but the energy in that record is so good that it's gonna live with you for years. And back in the day, part of that was the nature